Hello, everyone. Thank you again for joining us today. Very excited to have another special guest on the podcast. And in this week's episode, our topic is next-gen efficiency and how family offices are transforming accounting and compliance with Ben Taylor of Soft Ledger, who is a technology company in the accounting space. And we're very excited to have Ben on today to cover a whole host of topics. But specifically just around the concept of, imagining freeing up your team of the endless spreadsheets and the compliance headaches that naturally unfold in our day-to-day. So, we can finally kind of take a deep breath, think more strategically about these things, especially with 415 behind us. And, specifically want to just use the example of a family office and, how they are many a times managing kind of multi-state, multi-entity portfolios. And that comes with a lot of opportunity to modernize and kind of create more streamlined solutions, which is a complete game changer for firms. So very excited to have Ben on today. I'll let Ben share a little bit more detail on his background, but broadly speaking, Ben's a CPA with a very rich experience across the spectrum of both the public and private sectors, and has really kind of built a platform that can really serve the full gamut of multi-state entities, but family offices specifically that tend to rely on outdated systems when they typically kind of meet Soft Ledger and Ben as they seek to streamline operations. So I'll kick it over to Ben just for a quick intro and background on himself and Soft Ledger.
Thanks, Frank. I appreciate you having me on, and I look forward to the conversation today. Quick overview of us is we're 10 years into this now. It's been 10 years since the initial idea, and Soft Ledger was born out of frustration with existing accounting systems at that time. And we're really focused on providing better software for accountants to manage the financials within their organizations. And we're specifically focused on multi-entity organizations, helping companies manage their multiple entities, deliver consolidated financial statements. And that is particularly true for family offices, given that they are often small, nimble teams managing a diverse range of assets in various locations, could be multiple states, could be multiple countries even. And so that's how we align with file forms, and looking forward to getting into the details.
At the end of the day, we're both seeking to help firms kind of automate these administrative processes and really empower them to make more smart decisions rather than wasting time in administrative processes that are somewhat archaic initially. So we're really going to cover the full spectrum of why kind of traditional accounting methods are starting to kind of fail organizations and family offices specifically, how they can think about modernizing some of those processes with automation, cloud-based technology that Soft Ledger and file forms both in tandem provide to these types of clientele. And then we'll think through, practical steps, sometimes the initial steps for folks to help kind of kick off that evolution for their firms. So with that, we'll kind of jump right into our first segment, which is, Ben, in your experience, just kind of what are some of the primary inefficiencies that you're seeing this day and age when various firms come to you and are looking to kind of kick off that initial kind of automation process of those legacy manual processes, or even just legacy systems that are a little less modern?
Sure. Yeah. Mainly when companies come to us, or accounting firms serving their clients, multi-entity clients come to us, it's around having different accounting systems for different entities, and then sometimes it's a couple of spreadsheets for certain entities because they didn't make it into the accounting system, and getting that all wrangled together, and then ultimately forming it into a consolidated view of what their financial position is, what their financial performance was for a certain period. And it just, in that whole process, is a lot of time, a lot of friction, errors sometimes, and that all means that it's taking longer to get from what happened to actionable financial results, which is really the point of our whole system existing in the first place.
No doubt. I mean, you mentioned human error as a potential risk. A lot of times folks can miss deadlines, for example, or have a spreadsheet not update as they hoped it would. What kind of like hidden costs and maybe even penalties have you seen in your experience that many times could be the catalyst to get someone to pick up the phone and seek a solution?
I think there's definitely the compliance aspect to it of you have a number that's wrong in your financials and it could have been caught and now you have a control deficiency, and that's definitely top of mind for a lot of organizations. And then this really comes down to really not having good financial data to manage and make good operational decisions as well. So it's both the compliance aspect of you could miss something, have a gap, and also lose money as a result. Make decisions with incomplete or incorrect data, and then have that ultimately be the wrong decision.
Interesting. And kind of from an infrastructure standpoint, what setups are you kind of seeing exist most prevalently today? And then how do you all work to kind of get them into the modern, more efficient workflow solutions?
Sure. So usually there's some when a multifamily or a multi-entity organization, often a family office, comes to us. They're using a bookkeeping system, might be QuickBooks, could be something else, and they could be managing billion plus in assets. Sometimes there's still that's the process at that point, which is surprising, but you can get to that AUM and still be on a small business system. So they're doing that, and then they're doing something manual to develop the consolidated financial view, and more often than not, that's an Excel based process. And so what we do is, our approach is to bring it all into one system, so everything updates in real time, and you get to see that in a single pane. And so it makes it easier. The feedback loop between seeing something's wrong and fixing it and having it update is a lot quicker.
I would say so. So it sounds like kind of disparate systems to start, with an opportunity to consolidate that into kind of a single source of truth, if you will, kind of one dashboard to manage all the necessary things. Is that what I'm hearing is kind of defining what modern financial infrastructure should be?
Yep. It's not necessarily going to be a push button, does all the things, but getting as much as possible systemized into a control system with controlled processes with controlled, financial management processes all along the way. So if you're doing something that's outside of the system, at least getting that to be repeatable and kind of handle those by exception versus hopefully you have at least 85% of your processes happening in the system, and then maybe there's a few happening outside versus 85% happening outside and only finishing it in the system.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I know you all are more focused on the accounting side. We're obviously more focused on the compliance side, but we've found that there's a lot of parallels to be drawn between the two with respect to disparate systems, static Excel spreadsheets. I always joke with clients around the concept of them having a spreadsheet that kind of starts to look like a Christmas tree over time because there's all these different colors and Excels. And I mentioned that, and everyone kind of knows what I'm talking about, generally speaking, because you get to a point where things are just, they've grown organically and then nothing's speaking to itself, and there needs to be a centralized dashboard to kind of bring it all together. And it's really cool that, Soft Ledger specifically, is a cloud-based solution. It's got that visibility across, the full spectrum of the portfolio. How do you guys think about just like centralizing data and reporting so that ultimately stuffs like audits and, periodic reports can be done quicker?
Yeah, that's a great point. Just to go what you said about having that Christmas tree, Frankenstein's spreadsheet that emerges over time is, even if you're in the same system and ultimately you're re-implementing, it just makes it makes sense to re-examine this stuff every once in a while to rethink your tech setup. It just over time, unmanaged, it starts to head in that direction. But yeah, as far as centralizing the reporting within a cloud-based system, I think that's the more you can know around, you can have a kind of singular master record of your financial data, and then have all the dimensionality to slice and dice that in the way that's needed to get different types of reports, the better. So you're always, if in our world, it's journal entries. You have your journal entries at the core of everything, and then you add dimensions to those for investors, for investment types, for asset classes even, and then you can kind of pivot those and slice and dice different reports to depending on what's needed in a particular area. If you start there, I think it helps a lot to provide that financial visibility.
No doubt. I continue to see the parallels between what you all do and what we do. And ultimately, I'm sure there's a lot of kind of breakthrough moments where, a client realizes the benefit of your system, which I'd love to jump into. But even before that, what do you think the moment is where a client realizes there needs to be a better solution out there? Is there a penalty that happens, or a missed deadline, or like tell me what that pain point is that you all lean into in order to get clients started, and then what's the result look like?
Yeah, I mean the reporting deadline could easily be missed as a part of this process. It just takes long. You wait to the end of the month, and then you start to accumulate all these financial statements and from the various entities, and then now it's 3 weeks into the next month, and you're up against the close for the month that you're in. And so you're in this constant cycle of closing the books. And so if there's a real reporting requirement and you get to the end of the year, like a lot of our customers have, that could cause you to miss that deadline. And all the while during that when you're closing the books, you have to make, management has to make decisions on what to do next with the business, and they're relying on old data as the accounting team's scrambling to close the books. They can't provide any ad hoc reporting or anything, so you're kind of just it just snowballs into causing problems everywhere in the organization.
Yeah, we've seen definitely that chaotic fire drill scenario around deadlines. In fact, we just had a pretty material deadline in Florida for annual reports. There's obviously a ton of high net worths and family offices moving down to Florida, establishing entities in Florida. So Florida is one of those unique states that has a May 1st deadline for their annual reports. I was thrilled that there were no fire drills this year for our clients. We were very proactive. And I think that proactiveness really does, just make life a little bit easier, really streamlines things, and, kind of just gives you the full spectrum to run your operation in a modern context, which I think is forever going to be important in this day and age, how quickly technology is evolving. What kind of time savings have you seen from folks kind of taking the proactive step towards innovating and kind of making it the right time to do this innovation?
Yeah, I mean the biggest there's a huge time savings. That's what a lot of this boils down to. With getting all of your entities into one system, and what could have been in the past an exercise of logging into and out of each entity to see how things are going, and not even having a consolidated view, but going in each time it's a different QuickBooks or other account that you're logging into, and then going to the next account and seeing that, versus the aha moment. I think for our customers often is you have the whole pane, your financials all together with this multi-entity view, and then going down and toggling between each entity and just having it immediately update and hop between them is really when they realize, that was a process that took me all day or days, and now I can just do it, in an hour or something. It's those types of cost savings, 15 hours to one, or something that took 20 minutes takes 2 minutes. and if it's around that, for, in our case, that's the multi-entity consolidation. But I think, for you, compiling all of your compliance in one place, like it's the same concept. Is it's around automation. It's around removing steps that are needed to do these critical things and keeping everything in one place.
Definitely. Yeah. All those little 2-minute increments that add up over time, and the hour-long savings, process after process, form after form. I mean, those do compound, and a lot of these forms are happening every single year. So, 10 hours savings here or there every single year, that really does add up, and it really adds up and benefits those that have thin back offices. So a lot of family offices have pretty thin back offices. They don't have the ability to hire seasonal workers, nor do they want to. A lot of firms that operate in specific states will have big deadlines that pile up. Delaware, for example, a lot of people form in Delaware. Obviously, they have a big seasonal deadline of June 1st. So folks probably want to stay ahead of that one and really start to prepare now. We're seeing a lot of our family office clients send over their spreadsheets, send over their information, so there's not a month-end sprint. So that all is really important, and that single source of truth where you don't have to remember 15 different passwords, you don't have to remember, is it in this accounting system or that one? That's it. That is what we're solving, and that is what modern technology allows us to do. So that's super exciting. I mean, are you feeling folks are kind of sensing that stress relief after a few months of working with you all and getting through the onboarding process and all of that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we see it. Yeah, as once they're implemented, that's when it really clicks, and they go through that first close and have to go and investigate, or even pre-close, have to go and do the same thing that they did before, get the same information. It's just so much quicker, which is really like I said, the point of all this is to make that process more streamlined. And yeah, that resonated to me what you just said about the managing the multiple passwords. We're actually going through an exercise of multi-state sales tax portals and all this right now. It's just the fewer of those multiple login scenarios you can have, especially if you're operating in multiple states, the better.
No doubt. So what would you say for folks listening, whether family office or just running a multi-state or multi-entity portfolio, what would you say is like the first step in modernizing the firm? What would you recommend?
Good question. Yeah. So I'd say the best thing is to just make yourself aware of the options out there. The best person, the person in the best position to figure out how to automate their current processes is probably you. If you're thinking about this and you're thinking that this is a problem for you, and so just being aware of the technology solutions out there and how they fit in. I was actually just having this conversation earlier today about AI and how that plays into a lot of how that plays in for specifically for client advisory services practices at firms, and it's really like they're in the best position to figure out, okay, I know what AI is capable of. Can it help me do this thing that I'm doing in my job? And I think if you start there and just make sure that you're aware of what's out there, maybe there's nothing right here right now, but you're keeping an eye on it, and then you realize, this task that I'm doing could go from 15 minutes to 2 minutes if I use this new technology solution that I'm aware of. That's kind of the way to think about it, and it doesn't necessarily need to be a wholesale shift. Maybe in some places it does, but in some places it could just be little things like you said, Frank, about just tweaking, turning 8 clicks into 2. If you're doing that 5 times a day, it starts to add up.
No doubt. And honestly, with the prevalence of AI, we're seeing no shortage of opportunity to innovate, especially in the realm of compliance. I'm sure you're seeing it on the accounting side. If anything, the accounting side is much more innovative and progressed than where we are. But we're thrilled to be using AI in our workflows across the spectrum. And, I think all this leads to a much more scalable process. At the end of the day, firms are trying to grow, especially with the turbulent market that we're dealing with right now. Growth is everything. And if you can mitigate risk, mitigate costs, mitigate burden on people's time, it's going to allow your firm to scale more quickly and keep things on track. And it'll also probably help your employees just live a more enjoyable time at work. A lot of folks don't want to be struggling with government portals or multiple systems. They want ease of work, and they want education in the work and the platforms that they use. So that I think is all really important as we think about, what is that first step? What is that pain point that's going to initiate this whole process? So that's great. So I guess as you think about other things that listeners might benefit from hearing, Ben, what else would you like to share today?
I just, I guess, maybe reemphasize that, see what's out there. Maybe there's not, obviously don't want to get oversold, and you can't use every single tech solution at once, but just, make sure you're aware of what's out there, and figure out use that to inform the next step for modernizing your organization. And yeah, if we can help, shameless plug, reach out. We're easy to find, softledger.com. My email is ben@softledger.com. So if we can help in any way, happy to do so.
Awesome. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people reaching out. How many firms do you kind of support today at a high level, and kind of what are the different industries that you all kind of excel with?
So we serve over 1,000 organizations globally. Some of those are through our embedded partners. We have an embedded product via software providers. But if you're an investment firm or a financial services firm, that's where our sweet spot is, especially if you have a small team and want to automate. The pain is around multi-entity consolidation. That's really where we come in.
Amazing. Well, I think we've covered a lot today. We've discussed how outdated accounting and compliance processes can really drain people's times and kind of inhibit their growth potential. It's amazing that there's so many, modern tools like SoftLedger and file forms out there to really free up resources so that they can focus on kind of higher value, more strategic type work. You can kind of take some pretty small steps that can make a huge difference long term from modernizing the firm. And generally speaking, no one likes being buried in compliance tasks that ultimately can lead to that energy being redirected in a more beneficial way. So if folks do have any questions or want to follow up with more details on modernizing your accounting process or your compliance process, please do reach out to Ben on the accounting side. You can reach out to myself, Frank, at fileforms.com on the compliance side. SoftLedger and Fileforms are in partnership together and very excited to kind of continue to serve those that are thinking to modernize their firms. I think it's definitely a timely decision, and we can automate your accounting processes, your filing processes, annual reports, registered agent services, new formations, help you grow your portfolio, and ultimately help sunset some of those outdated systems and get back to kind of growth. So very excited to be hosting Ben today. I wish you a great rest of your week, and really appreciate you taking the time to share some more about SoftLedger and ultimately how you all serve the various family offices and multi-entity and multi-state portfolios. So thank you so much for joining us, Ben. I'm sure we'll have you back on soon, and have a great rest of your day, listeners. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks again, Frank. That's great.